pointer. I'm using my Oh, you have appeared. Yes.
Oh, excellent. Bottom of the camera. Good place.
Yes. You found it. My word, you're looking good.
Thank you. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Hello, Yasha. Lovely to see you.
Hello, Martin. Lovely to see you too. We've not been talking to each other, but we've been in touch, believe me.
Yes, we've sent messages backwards and forwards.
Messages and also just thinking about you, I think to some extent there's a communication we're not aware of course.
Yes, so
Just
I've been thinking about you quite a bit.
wavelengths we haven't made contact with yet.
Yes. Oh, often it's strange you say that. Often there's an interaction between people like this,
Yes.
and I'm absolutely sure there's the sort of material interaction that we're aware of, and then there's a higher one going on. And sometimes I'm meeting someone for that higher one. This little personality doesn't know what the mission is, or has its own silly ideas of what that mission
Absolutely.
is.
You know where I felt that most vividly, most practically? In my shop, in the shop I had in the Camden Passage in Islington. When somebody walked into the shop, there were vibes that I couldn't define, which told me whether this was an easygoing guy, difficult guy, friendly, unfriendly, all those elements which make you react in a different way to someone, to a total stranger.
Yes, and
We
in that
react different
shop,
ways when we meet a total stranger. Each one we react differently. But we actually have got a reason as to react the way we do, and that reason is this communication we're talking about.
yes. But that shop was interesting as well. You could write a whole story, couldn't we? We could write a whole novel about the funny things with people finding funny things or trying to sell things, or they come in for a different reason, or the strange things that was a special shop with a special kind of feel to it. I think
Atmosphere,
some people were
absolutely.
guided there.
Yes.
But Yasha, you've been in hospital again since we last spoke. Is that correct?
I was in hospital twice. First, nothing to do with Parkinson's.
Well,
I've
the
got,
first one, I
I've had,
think, but in our last video, we talked about the first one, which is one of the problems with Parkinson's is your guts can get sort of a bit twisted up. That was the first one, was it?
yes, actually, so that was not successful, unfortunately. I had to go and have a repeat treatment.
Oh,
And they still didn't, they decided to, the alternative is surgical interference. In other words, to actually physically remove part of the gut that is causing the problem and shorten the whole intestine. But I'm not sure they thought this is a very good idea for an 82-year-old.
no, I do know someone who's had that procedure done for other reasons.
Yes,
Yes, but I think the less interference that can happen, the better.
no better. So this third time, I was about to, well, not about to go into hospital, but certainly had a problem. They told me to relax, to try and rest as much as possible, and then to call the hospital if a pain began to be permanently there.
Mm.
And so far, touch wood, it's working. So I went a second time, had the same procedure done, and now waiting for the third time.
Well,
I
since
hope I'll
last
have to
night,
wait a long time.
yes. Since we last talked, one of my friends, one of my close friends, passed away. I don't. Did I ever talk to you? I think I probably did about Eileen Meisel, the
About,
film producer. So Eileen was a American Jewish film producer and was really one of my mentors and like a sister.
young. How old
Yeah,
was she?
no, she's. I'd have to have a look at her. She was young in her heart, even if she wasn't, young as she produced some wonderful films. Some of the things you'd be aware of, she was one of the producers of Dangerous Liaisons and did
Oh,
the
I see,
Golden
that sort of.
Compass and everything. I think I've
Yeah.
mentioned
Dangerous, dangerous liaisons, the playing cards they use, they were hired from me.
Oh my word! So there's a link.
Yes, there's a close link.
Oh, that's superb. I wish I could tell her.
Yes, it's nice.
But she had a rare form of I can't remember the name of it, but it's a form of cancer of the blood, and she was undergoing an experimental treatment to solve it, and it was looking very good. I went to see her. She was in St. Bart's Hospital, but they said no, she's too tired, and but she's recovering, you know. But no, she did. She unfortunately passed away, and it's
Uh,
a strange thing. Often, have you ever had an experience when someone has died where they come back and say hello somehow? Have you ever had that where there's some kind of a thing, you know, you can sense them or?
the nearest I had to that was at the last hospital visit I took just now.
Oh, tell me.
I actually believe I've had a death experience.
Oh my word, tell us about that.
Well, it's only because I'd read before about it. What is called near-death experience,
Hmm.
NDE.
Yes.
Well, it was while I was under anesthetic, obviously, and they were working on me. I could feel them. I felt my wife's mirror was next to me. And I kept telling her that, you know, to be gentle. And I was talking to her to sort of treat me, that I couldn't breathe well. But I felt as if I was on the very verge of going over, and it was a matter of total balance, which I fell back. I was somewhere from where I'm coming back again.
Yes.
And I wasn't sure whether I would come back left or right, left being going to the way again and right being okay, sort of thing.
Mm.
That sort of consciousness.
So
Well, it was interesting, and I didn't make any notes about it until I heard another program again of how common it is for people to feel this near-death experience.
yes, and there's a university in Virginia that has basically studied this, but even beyond this, what about people who have actually died? And they've put together what the experience, if you gather them all across the world, and
Yes,
what experiences have people had, like which are common. And some of the ones they've recorded are quite remarkable, especially
absolutely.
when people have observed things that they couldn't have observed.
Yes,
So there are
yes,
some cases where someone has they're clinically dead, but they have observed the preparation to bring them back in the other room, if you get my drift, or things like that, or
yes. But you just mentioned the key words: clinically dead.
Mm.
What is clinically dead? That's the question. Is
Yeah.
it the
So I think
brain
that
stop?
in
Is
this
it the
case they're
brain that's
saying
the
no
function
brain
stopping?
activity. I think they're saying there's
Yes,
no.
and that can take quite a long time, after other deaths.
Yes,
After
that's quite true. Yes. So yeah, the system can still be running a bit, you know, even though you've departed. Now, listen.
you've
So
got all sorts of things. I mean, for example, your beard or hairs keep on growing normally
yes.
after certain deaths, after a normal death.
So there you go, Yasha. Even if I die, it's not going to get me out of Kindra reminding me to have a haircut all the time.
No, and I've actually saved time.
Yeah, that's the way. But how have you been doing, Yasha? Because obviously we've had a talk, and there've been a lot of things happen since, health-wise. Describe what it's like being you at the moment.
Well, it's interesting because it is definitely deteriorating. And one of the questions I kept asking myself 6 months ago, or a year ago now, I've had Parkinson's for 7 years, or at least I was diagnosed with Parkinson's 7 years ago, because I probably had Parkinson's before that, unidentified. I'm actually witnessing the practical disadvantages. I've got, I mean, at this moment, for example, I've got a tremor which is stronger than usual.
Hmm.
which is quite troublesome for many reasons, for indirect reasons that are not logical. I mean, or are logical. For example, I get very, very tired, but it's not surprising. I've got my whole body it's got a tremor.
Yeah.
So it's not by,
You're
it's not,
working out all the time. Yes.
once I stop, I'm actually exhausted. And
So that's interesting. If someone, let's say someone watching this thought, I wonder how Yasha feels. I wonder what it's like. They probably could try tensing for a whole hour and then see what it's like, see how, see the feeling afterwards.
well,
Maybe.
you've picked on an aspect of this tensing, which is one of the awkward sides, difficulties in Parkinson, because Parkinson causes you to tense with a really unwillingly. So my body is tense all the time. So if I am going to make any effort, it would be to untense.
Mm.
Now that's where meditation comes in a very practical way. Meditation actually allows you to concentrate, so to let the rest of your body rest.
Yes,
Because
you're a lot of your life is adjusting, calm the body, calm the body, calm the body, calm the mind, calm the mind. Yes.
But the physical things, the neck, I know where I mean, there, for example, I just relaxed all my shoulder muscles, but it takes very short time for it to tense up again. So these are not under control. I meditate every day now. I must say I'm getting better at it. When we have time, I should tell you about it.
Oh, it'd be lovely to hear more about your training. And
Well,
do
to
you have a
practice.
set time or?
Well, I've got well, we met last tape, if you remember. We met my guru.
Yes.
He comes twice a week. And we start off with an hour's meditation.
Oh my word, how lovely. So
Absolutely lovely.
and he's from Sri Lanka, so it's probably Anapathasati, the focus on the breath. Is that what he does, or is it something different?
I'm not sure.
Okay, you let him do his stuff, you do your stuff.
No, we do it actually guided.
Oh, wonderful.
We usually find the tape either on the screen here or on the mobile face, and just listen to it. So it's guided meditation, which is quite good because there's at least 40 minutes, 50 minutes of silence in it, obviously.
Yes.
In spite of it being guided, it's guided at the beginning and at the end.
Wonderful.
It's excellent.
Yes. Oh, that's superb to hear. So you've got that sort of in place as well. And
where I feel important, and most people are curious about, is dementia. How my brain is working.
yeah, what I was going to say, and it's interesting you bring that up. I was going to say, do people think that the brain isn't working because the body, if you look visibly like you're shaking?
Well, not only that, but in general, there is a presumption that Alzheimer's is necessarily a beginning of Parkinson's, but it's not true. There's quite a big difference between dementia and Parkinson, Alzheimer. Alzheimer is an illness in its own right. Dementia is part of other illnesses, so to speak.
But your mind is working, or do you have to? Does that?
My mind is working. My wife, Zmira, says that my mind is working far too well.
Yeah, it would be so much easier to deal with if it was. Absolutely. You can imagine that. Yes, I like that. There's
the practical side is that I can't actually execute what I think I can do. I'm still going up and down the stairs on my own. I mean, they've put banisters on now. The whole house looks like a geriatric home, I must say. But on the other hand, that means that I can make my own way to my study, which is on the top floor, as you know. So from that point of view, no, the mind is okay, but I can't read.
Oh.
Even now, I'm already getting exceedingly tired. So I don't have control over the normal functions that should be.
When samurai used to get sort of to a certain point in their life, I've heard that they'd write their lessons, what they think the important things about life were, on like a piece of paper. You know, that would be their summary, and sometimes it'd be poetic, sometimes it'd be something else. And um, I've also seen some fun things online where people are doing that modernly. They're leaving reviews of life. So they're saying, you know, lovely thing, liked the body, you know, food was good, didn't like the amount of work I had to do. They're leaving reviews of life on planet Earth. And I kind of
Oh,
think about those kind
okay.
of two things, thinking, well, and one of the things that you and I have talked about really have been, what was the really valuable things that you have done and that you've always enjoyed? Now, one of them, it sounds like it's been taken away by Parkinson's. Here is the reading. And that was a big part of your, you know, you always loved books and loved reading.
That's
And now
what
you get to,
just writing articles, which is the best way of gaining extra knowledge, because I didn't write too many new ideas necessarily. It was more often just research on something I was looking for more material on, so as to give a viewer an opinion.
yes, that is, writing as a means to learn is something that people underestimate.
Exactly, I agree with you entirely.
Yeah.
And I kept on saying to my son and my daughter, you know, start writing. Guy could have become a journalist. He's
Mm.
superlative. He had a couple of articles published, but he never pursued it. And now that he's out of a job, he's out of a, I keep reminding him he could have been a writer, he wouldn't have been out of a job.
That's the fatherly role. You make sure he doesn't forget that. So what did he do last? What was his last job?
Well, he's working as a consultant. He's still doing so, and he might set himself up in business, but he's 55 years old, so it's a bit late to start a new career, you know.
Yes. But
And
that's
that,
where it could be a renewal for him, though, a regeneration. You know, starting something new can be
well,
quite
yes,
inspiring
except
in the
that
mind.
I think he didn't identify the opportunities he had in life. He worked for Yahoo for 9 years. And in retrospect, he should have stayed there because he was doing very well. And he left for all sorts of reasons that were avoidable.
Well, we all have situations like that where you look back and think, oh, but yeah, let's. I'm sure he's got your DNA, and let's also be clear. I don't think you, if someone, I think you had a few careers yourself
Yeah,
as
I
well.
have had several careers, but they were all of my own choice.
Yeah,
And they were never salaried. Very few of them were salaried. I
yeah.
think short ones were salaried, which means that if I could always make some money if I was in trouble. I had that freedom, whereas Guy is limited to the quantity of money he has every month.
By what comes in, yes.
What comes in. So if he overspends, there's nothing to promise that he'll, well, except now he's got an inheritance he can look forward to.
Yes. So yes, quick start spending it now, Yasha. Yeah.
Well, I thought what I would do is I would just give both the kids a chunk of amount of money, which would mean that they would be happier with us being still alive.
Yes.
I think that's a very interesting thought in my mind as to how you could possibly avoid when you are in, not Guy, but anybody with the parents still living with a reasonable amount of money secured, and not to think about their passing, and the inheritances that will follow. How can you avoid thinking about that?
Yes.
Just
So there's a
pretend
few.
you're
There's a
living.
few. When we say thinking about it, there's thinking about it as in planning. So it does make a difference in
I
terms.
didn't mean organized thinking. I meant
Yeah.
disorganized thinking.
Yeah.
It's very
Absolutely.
difficult. It's a very difficult situation, I think.
Well, this is something, you know, the process of life that unfortunately we're kind of dealing with. And it's interesting, though, you were talking about employment and self-employment. I didn't realize one of the benefits of employment, yes, you can't suddenly make, you know, more money and you can't choose your own time so much. but you're not the person running it, worrying about whether the ship's going to sink or if there's any leaks in it quite as much as the person actually running it. And of course, I've gone through this transition from employee to employer. I've gone.
Now you're your own employer. You're your own employer now.
Yes, I'm both my own employer, but I employ others as well.
Yes, of course.
Yes. So now I've got to worry about the actual ship itself a bit more. Yeah.
Much more realistic situation about life. But there is one interesting context into everything you said. I don't know if I'll be able to follow this thinking through, but let me try 1 second. Well, the most important aspect of what I've learned in my life, in changing between these jobs we were talking about, has been the fact that I gained a spiritual level very, very late on, probably in the last 10 years, 15 years, maybe less. Now, there's been a spiritual element there that I didn't recognize and I didn't identify and I didn't take advantage of, so to speak. I didn't develop it all. But when I believe that spiritual level was there for me to grasp when the time was ripe.
Mm.
And the time was not ripe in my 50s and even my 60s when I was still struggling making money, or not struggling making money, it doesn't matter. But the point was that I was still was busy with the needs. Suddenly you reach a stage in life where you feel there's much more time, there's much more, and especially if you're going to Buddhism, you think to yourself, I don't need to do anything else here in this life. I've got plenty of afterlives in which I can finish writing books and all sorts of things.
Yes,
as
next
well.
few. You book in all your projects for the future.
Yes. So
One
that's
thing that I'd like.
spiritual. I want to finish just 1 second.
Go on, carry on.
The thought is there, the mouth is not helping. I was going to say that spiritual consideration is a very important one, because when you start analyzing things, as I'm able to do, even now talking to you, you can analyze them, but you must remember, you must recall that it's all within the context of life, within this planet, within this Earth, this tiny little Earth.
Mm.
And that Earth is only one in a billion other planets of a similar situation, not necessarily similar, but billions of planets. So it has no significance. But there must be a significance that we just don't know about. It must be ready for something. I have a feeling that the Earth, as we know it, is like a plug that is waiting to be plugged in. That we're actually waiting for something that will come one way or another, as an explosion, as a not necessarily connected to life, but that there will be an explanation to all this beauty, to all this nature, this fantastic world which we praise, but we don't even take advantage of. We should be more aware of that.
I love that.
Thank you for listening.
No, it's fascinating. And I think what you're saying, everyone's most religions have got a kind of idea that the plug-in is going to happen, but maybe they don't quite know what it's going to be, so they come up with their own ideas. And it's just
as a Buddhist, I find that most religions are making the mistake of relying on one body to rely on.
Mm.
As if they relied, as Buddhism suggests, if they relied on themselves instead of relying on a body, like Jesus Christ or Moses or any other one of those ranks, Muhammad. Everyone always, but when you pray to Buddha, Buddha will accept your prayer, but will tell you to carry on and do something about it yourself, because he's not going to help you, he's only going to guide you.
Yes. So it's
it's a healthier thought.
A position of self-responsibility.
Yes.
Yes. And you could kind of see how maybe hoping something else is going to sort everything could lead to trouble. So, you know, good news. I might not be able to sort this, but yeah, so keep, you know, look after your own responsibility first.
But
Yeah.
don't try experimenting too much with
Yes.
Muhammad, the Kabbalahs, and there's a lot of stuff out there.
Oh, there certainly is. Yes, there's a lot that you can do. And well, you know, and I think sometimes people they neglect the mundane and what's seen as mundane and kindness between people and love between, you know, between people and goodness and
Ricky,
these are important. And sometimes I meet people and they're really into real far out stuff, but the normal things aren't
The
working.
Buddhist emphasis is on compassion,
Yes.
because compassion has got all those elements you mentioned in them.
Mm.
And Buddhism claims that most people don't understand compassion. Compassion is much more than sympathy. Compassion is actually participating in the activity of the sufferer, not just giving him, soothing him, making him feel better, easy, but to actually suffer with him in order to be able to take some of the suffering away.
Mm.
Because suffering under Buddhism, as you probably know, suffering under Buddhism is not necessarily negative. It's a matter that we keep on spending our lifetime dissatisfied. That is suffering. The fact that no matter what we have, we can be enjoying ourselves on a yacht in the sea and in the ocean, and we're still wanting and urging for more.
Yes. My favorite one is the English holiday where they go away to, you know, the south of France and say, this is so hot. This is
Yes,
terrible. My God, you know, everything.
exactly.
Oh, oh,
And then we
everything.
go to
And
the
then,
winter one and they have it so cold.
yeah, and you wake up the next day and they say, oh, it's so hot. And you think, that's why you came here. So, yes, I hear what you're saying. The person's on the yacht thinking, I'm missing home. Now, yeah, sure.
So
Just to let you know, we're coming to the end of our video today. We've just had a
I'm
little
sorry,
warning.
I must have been quite slow. It sounds as if we only had 5 minutes.
It does. It feels like that, doesn't it? It feels like that. But I think, you know, time flies when you're having fun. And we've
Well,
covered all sorts.
you've got the editorial scissors, so you can cut off anything you like.
I certainly can. Yes. I could
And I'm, and
edit this.
I'm of the Jewish faith, so I'm used to being cut.
That's so true. Um, that's a naughty joke, that one. I'll
Sorry.
cut that. But I could edit this to make me look remarkably clever. And you know that I'm predicting what you're going to say and very in tune, couldn't I? And yeah. So that's certainly what I should be doing. Anyway, so yes, it's been lovely catching up, and I'll yes look forward to hearing how
I
you're
feel it will be incomplete if I don't finish the joke. The
gone.
joke is, the joke basically is that one a fellow asked his friend, he says, "You're Jewish?" He said, "Yes." "You've been circumcised?" He said, "Yes." "Did it hurt?" He says, "Did it hurt?" He says, "I was circumcised when I was 6 months old. I didn't walk for 2 years." And you're asking if it hurts.
Actually, I think you've got quite a few jokes on this subject specifically. I
Well,
do
I've got
remember another
jokes
couple.
on the stages of life, and my earliest used ones are to do with this early. In fact, I made the mistake just now. It's not a matter of months, it's a matter of weeks. The circumcision usually takes place within the first few days
Yes, my
after
word.
birth.
Yeah, isn't it the other joke is the Jewish people are so ambitious they actually trim something down before they know how big it's going to be.
Yes.
Yeah, so so
Yeah,
true.
of course it's
All right
Martin,
then.
it's great
On the
talking to
subject
you.
of trimming, so yes, lovely talking to you. And what I'll do is I'll contemplate our theme. Maybe the next session will just focus on meditation. You were talking about your
That's a
progress.
good
We got to touch on it a little bit, where you're going in that to the meditation, what your experience are, how you're training it, how you're using this. Let's talk about meditation. And
Absolutely. There are a few surprises in talking about it, I think. So
wonderful.
yeah,
So
it's a
there you
good
go,
thing.
everyone. Look forward to some surprise from Yasha, and I'll promise not to be too detailed, you know, with the meditation talk about the different sort of traditional. I'll listen and be a reflection.